quorum, so we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Yep. We're going to call the meeting to order
Recording
at
in progress.
5:32. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept the agenda, please?
I move we accept the agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
Seconds.
Thank you, Greg. All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Thanks. All those opposed? Great. All right. Communications with parents, citizens, and staff. Is there anybody here who would like to talk to the board? No? Okay. All right, then we are going to move on. Consent agenda. Can I get someone to make a motion?
Can I move that we accept it, but I want to pull out the, I'm trying to call up the consent agenda. It's the thing with the food contract.
Oh, so you want to pull off F for the food service?
Yep.
Okay.
And
Is there anything else?
Greg would like to ask a question on the copier printer contract.
Okay, so we're going to pull off E and F. All right, so let's go ahead and do the consent agenda without E and F. Can I get someone to make a motion for those?
So
Okay.
moved.
Ethan and Leo. Okay, all those in favor of the consent agendas A, B, C, D, and G signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Let's start with E. I need someone to make a motion on E, copier and printer contract bid.
So moved.
Thank you, Leo. Is there a second?
second.
Barbara? All right, so question, Greg.
This lease contract have a termination option in it if needed.
Do you know that answer to that?
So I know that every 3 years we sit down and look for a new vendor. I don't know if there is one, but I do know that many of our contracts have to have that in it. So I can text Brenda and then we can.
Okay, so we're
do
gonna
that.
put that on hold until we hopefully hear back from Brenda. So if you don't mind, I'll table that until we hear from her, which should still be during this meeting. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so can I get someone to make a motion on schedule, or item F, food service contract renewal?
So moved.
Thank you, Leo. Is there a second?
Second.
Barbara? And you had a question, Barbara. Comment.
I think I just want maybe a little more information about the contract and how we come to accepting it.
Oh, as far as bids and whatnot, because it does go out to bid. I do know that part. That's a Brenda question, too.
I actually do know that because
right,
I
well, then there you go.
sat on it. I can't tell you all the deep details that Brenda does.
Okay.
At first we were talking about food service, so, because I was trying to get a hold of her. So, every 3 years, we go ahead and get bids and they send us all their binders and all their information and everything that they provide for us, and we try to create sort of like this apples and apples situation to look at what they provide and what their cost is going to be. And there's, a whole process provided for us that we go through. We have lots of people on the, sort of on this committee, and we follow the process, and then a vendor is chosen. So we actually have had, we've seen meals before, we have visited places in the past. There's been different things that we've asked them to do for us. So,
Do you know if they locally source any of the food that they provide?
They do try.
so Abbey Group
Yeah.
has been known to do that quite a bit. I couldn't tell you exactly right now. I've just worked with Abbey Group when I was a teacher as well as a principal, and that was actually one of the things that they sort of prided themselves in, was using some local. I don't know currently if they are.
Do you know if we have, someone who keeps an eye on that or checks up on that?
So there is a lunch there is an Abbey Group Food Service Committee, which
Yeah.
I happen to be member of.
Oh, there you go.
Excellent, okay.
So I can speak a little bit to that. We meet quarterly with Michael, or at least here at Otter Valley. We do the Otter Valley one. And we meet with the food service person in the kitchen, and also whoever replaced Baba. I can't think of her name, but she's a really nice
Yeah.
lady. And then there's also kids on that committee, and there's also the person who does food up here, the teacher.
Paul, Mary Jane? No.
Mary Jane, thank you. Mary
Hall.
Jane's on there, and I think there's another teacher too. But anyway, we're all on that. And so what has come out of the last meeting was that the kids realized that they would just like some simple stuff, peanut butter and jelly and things that you normally eat, not this, special stuff that they look at and go. So I know that she's working to try and make it food that the kids want.
Okay.
She's also trying very hard to make it so that you can grab and go. A lot of it is grab and go now, so that you don't have to wait in line for a hot lunch. Does make it hard with the way we are set up with our current kitchen.
Okay.
So there are lots of things they've talked about getting a cooler in the cafeteria that they could put yogurts and milks and things like that, so you could just grab and go with that. But of course that costs money. We haven't done anything like that yet. So they are trying very hard to make sure that it is stuff that the kids want to eat and enjoy.
Okay,
So,
thank you. That answers the questions that I had.
okay. But
And actually, even at the elementary schools, they have those types of meetings, and we at Lothrop one time decided that we wanted the same thing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so that they knew whatever day was tacos or chicken or.
Oh, so
and
it's the same every week?
So kids just sort of knew, they might have changed what the chicken was, but they would know what it was. And they were great about accommodating that.
Yeah, so if kids have comments or whatever, they just need to let the kitchen know, kind of.
Okay.
Or let someone that they know, and then they can let the kitchen know.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Ethan, did I hear you talking?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Barbara, if you're more interested in digging into like local procurement and things like that with school lunch, you should there's other resources, particularly at the children farms, like Vermont Feed is a big piece, and also Nova
Yes,
Vermont, so they work
yeah.
really closely with a bunch of different food providers throughout the state, and it varies school to school with how much was sourced and with capacities of the kitchens and that sort of thing. Some contracts with different school districts can actually have percentages in there that they want them to meet, but it does vary based on location.
Right, and it also
But
depends on their
I'd be
budget.
happy to chat more about it with you if you wanted sometime.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm interested in like how all of the different food organizations work together to, provide as much locally sourced stuff as they can and healthy stuff and, all of
It's
the
also getting the
parameters.
kids in the
It's
kitchen, once the kids kind of walk, it's kind of like anything. Once somebody walks away from something, it's very hard to get them to come back in the door. And that's kind of what their challenge is right now. But they're starting to get more and more kids to come in and eat and do things like that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
And thanks, Ethan.
All right, so, any other discussion about the food service contract? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Greg?
I said aye.
Oh, you did? Okay, I missed it, sorry. All those opposed? All right, food contract passes. Have you heard back from Brenda yet?
No, not yet.
All right, so
I
we
asked
will-
Alexis also.
All right, so we'll
see.
move on. When we hear from Brenda, we'll pull it back we'll talk about it. All right, so next thing on our agenda is a presentation from Alexis on the overview of information technology. Hi, Alexis. Oh,
Can you hear me?
not very well.
Let's see, is that any better?
Oh, that is better. Yes.
I think I just have to lean in a bit. Sorry for my giant head. All right.
Alexis, are you ready
Let
for
me
me to
think.
share?
Yes. So very good. All right, so this is an overview of the technology department. This first slide kind of shows a broad overview of the categories of things we work in, including our infrastructure, our communications, security, and student data and privacy regulations, our technology in classrooms, our one-to-one program for our students, the various software and apps, really the process around that, our support systems, reporting activities, our internet access, and our largest category, other. Next slide. There we go. So I'll just note, and I want you to keep this slide in mind as we go through all the things that we do and the quantity of things we do. We have a very small team. We have Whitney Christie, who's our systems administrator, our technology specialist, Dan Schmitz, our network administrator, Colby Case, and our technology specialist, Leah Rowe. Colby and Leah both came up as interns, and Colby actually, of course, as you may or may not know, went all the way through RNESU school system, and then out to Castleton, and then back. And underneath each are their primary schools of responsibility. All right, infrastructure. So you may note when you look around, you see things attached to walls, cables zipping around. All of those things get connected and are in fact part of our infrastructure, which is made up of really more, this is a bit of a typo, more than 350 elements, which are switches that connect things together, wireless access points, routers that connect us up to the internet, and that interconnects all of our campuses together so they can function as a single whole in most respects. It is also standardized technology across all of the buildings. So one wireless access point type in Otter Valley is the same as you'll find in Central Office or in Lothrop, for example. Serves more than 3,000 devices in total. That includes all staff machines, of course the infrastructure machines and servers, students, guests that come onto our system. We have innumerable vendor devices, phones, printers, the cameras throughout all of the buildings, every door reader on every door, vape sensors as found in Otter Valley bathrooms, and many others. Communications. We have a lot of communication methods that we use. This makes sense to reach out to the staff and community members, as well as students. That includes our phones, emails, video conference systems, chat functions, email groups, surveys, Let's Talk, websites, of course PowerSchool and ThrillShare, our mass messaging platform. All of that falls under IT to a mostly greater extent. Next, yeah. Security. So all the infrastructure, all the communications, all the things we'll see after this slide are utterly dependent on the activity we take in the security realm. RNESU security is multi-layered and it is ubiquitous. It is basically everywhere, and there's a bunch of different parts to it that work together to make us as secure as our budget, staffing levels, and mission allow and need. We meet or exceed any and all of the requirements for both FERPA and COPPA. We have antivirus that's deployed, managed and monitored firewalls, virtual networks to separate the different types of traffic on our networks. We have several layers of internet filtering, especially as relates to students. We have monitoring, and that goes right down to the classroom level, where teachers can monitor student Chromebook activity to make sure, assist with classroom management and help out. We do security training multiple times a year, from spam to policy reinforcement, and we are regularly testing that security, both internally and with an external partner who specializes in them. Additionally, we do quarterly audits of all systems and weekly and daily log reviews of all the critical systems. We also apply hotfixes, updates, and deploy everything to individually reviewed and updated standards for configurations. So one small example is a single student Chromebook will be internet filtered on or off RNESU campuses. It will only connect to networks we define and in ways to those networks as we configure. They can't install software or apps on those devices. They can't alter or disable the base configuration. There's additional filtering that occurs while on campus, and all of those devices are updated for security. One other item with that is we have a critical piece of security, which is our technology refresh program, which essentially means that all student devices are always current enough to ensure they still receive security updates from the vendor. Next. Classroom technology, interactive projectors that work both across the network and wirelessly. Those essentially replace the older technology of smartboards and make essentially any whiteboard interactive. Staff devices, some of these include laptops, Chromebooks, iPads, document cameras, speakers, microphones, cameras, karaoke machines, 3D printers, virtual reality headsets, etc. Printing is high speed and accessible. We have upwards of 70 printers throughout RNESU, strategically located so we don't have unnecessary overlap, but still have plenty of throughput. So learning can continue at speed. Learning management systems and student information systems, our primary one being PowerSchool, which is more critical than ever, with state reporting now routing through that to the Agency of Education. We also do lots of data pulls from that to answer specific questions and feed into other systems. We also store critical faculty information, all part of the reporting process, and of course for scheduling and all that. There's critical emergency medical and health management information, bus information, all kinds of stuff, everything that we basically need to keep instruction flowing and students safe. And of course, we also, that's the system that we integrate our online registration forms with, and more, as it says. Google Suite. So we have the full range of Google options for all staff members, all students, with various degrees of policy and security depending on the user, but that includes everything from spreadsheets to the presentation you're looking at right now, to more intensive things like attendance analysis and all kinds of goodies. Oh, and email, naturally. Google Classroom, you can read a little bit about that there. Used to a greater or lesser extent depending on the individual instructional staff member, and also integrates with, of course, the whole Google Suite, Clever, and a whole slew of other applications. And then hundreds of educational apps. At any given time, we probably have somewhere between 30 and 50 educational apps in active use throughout RNESU. We've reviewed the terms and conditions, contracts, privacy agreements, all of those things, for several hundred of them at this point, and all of that is shared online. Next up, our one-to-one program. Students have a fully functional device that meets all requirements for instructional purposes. Those are standardized on Chromebooks, which, as I referenced earlier, we keep current enough to maintain their access to updates. They are centrally maintained, configured, inventoried, and replaced. I'll also add cleaned in terms of GUI stuff and stickers and all of that. We also repair them. We maintain a accidental damage warranty on all of those units. So the same unit can get repaired or replaced at no additional cost almost every time for us. Very important when dealing with 1,500 students of various ages and attention. They're rotated out as we've spoken about, and all of the apps and software that are on those devices are centrally managed and deployed. Basically, what IT's role is to take whatever comes down as being approved by Debbie and her team, and make sure that it's gone through security and contract review, and then we make sure that the right students get all of them. Pretty seamless most of the time. Next. Software and apps, a little more on that. We're a member of the Vermont Student Privacy Alliance, the Tech Student Data Privacy Alliance, and the Student Data Privacy Consortium. Also Common Sense Media. And those are some of the things we use when we go through the process of evaluating a requested app or software. We want to make sure we don't have any red flags, that we've got good documentation on it, and that it is sustainable as well. Software and apps go through review prior to purchase or deployment. If something is found that we can't improve it out of IT, we let whoever requested it know in detail, and we document those reasons. We try and work with the vendor. And occasionally we are successful. Most of the time something is not approved. It's a pretty egregious approach the vendor has towards privacy and online tracking and things like that, including the sale of student data. So that's a no-no. Support. So we provide help for 9 locations and lots more besides. More than 2,500 students, staff members, vendors, parents, guardians, we help them all. More than 5,500 help requests last year. We're on track for about that this year. We usually go between 5,000 and 6,000. I think our peak was in COVID, which probably makes sense, where we were around 7,200. Again, I remember it's just myself and our 4 staff. But despite that massive flow through, our average rating is 4.9 out of 5, which when you think about 5,500 tickets, and that's our rating, means there's a lot of people that really care about the work we're doing, and it's pretty nice to have the feedback. 99% of requesters report their provider responses in a manner that is understandable. That's critical. We work on that in IT, so we're not doing geek speak to people, but trying to get us all on the same page. And also 99% of requesters report they are comfortable approaching and working with the tech team, also very important. And then we have a large list, and perhaps one more coming on this year, of how to get support. So you can grab us in the hall, you can give us a call, you can email support, you can email us directly, although it's better to email support. Of course, there's always chat, and then access through our website form, and that's about it. And next. Reporting, we do a lot of work with Brenda and her team around direct certification for free and reduced lunch. That's a monthly process that takes between 3 and 10 days to put everything together, get it through. We validate all the data, we check and correct for any errors, get that up there, so we max out to the extent possible our free and reduced lunch numbers, since they are critical. And then we have the SLDS, which is basically the master reporting out of Power School, also I think formerly known as the School Register, and a bunch of other siloed reports. All that goes to the EdFi system now, which is a national and international standard for, excuse me, for transmitting scholastic data about students and that kind of thing. So there are critical dates where these reports go through. The system we have set up now essentially reports every single day of the year, which helps us stay on top of the details and corrections much better. And of course that includes everything you see there and much more. Internet access, we scale our internet to meet or exceed the International Society for Technology and Education bandwidth standards on a per student basis. I'm happy to say we've been able to do that for the last several years. We're in the media rich, which is the highest category for that standard, which really should be the lowest category, because that's what allows for any student in any class of any school to say watch an educational video online at the same time. And you'd be amazed at just how much of that media-rich content goes through our system on any given day. We keep up with bandwidth growth requirements. We recently just changed out our internet provider to a new provider, which gives us lower costs and as good or better speeds across all sites, and greater security as well. And of course, our internet access is filtered at multiple layers, including the applications on the network, on each device individually, and based on the kind of user. And the internet is uniformly accessible. So whatever building you're at, you can get internet. And next, other stuff we do, project management, the phone system and phone vendors, printers and copiers, and of course we work with the vendors there and work with Brenda on the bids and contract. IT budgeting, purchasing, inventory, vendor relations. A note on that, this is probably an unsung item, but working with our critical vendors, we've been able to secure through the end of July free tariff pricing for student devices, which is pretty exceptional. So that news came through today, and that took several months of negotiation, but we were able to nail that down. System security audits, website support and updates, E-rate, which pays for roughly 70 to 80% of our internet connectivity. Staff professional development related to IT, which you touched on earlier. All the security and related networks, as well as their software, communications and storage, our door security network, the configuration reporting, and also our badge creation and management system. Athletic and theater presentation and broadcast systems, we work closely with staff on their needs for that. And of course with HVAC and other vendor technology support. For example, you had the heating system go down at Barstow due to a misconfiguration of vendor equipment, as happened today. IT is the one who helps get that resolved by working with the vendor. And of course, backing up our data, retiring devices, and securely destroying any of the information that's on there. and also our e-cycle program. And next. Questions?
Are there questions for Alexis?
I can ask one that I have half an answer from, I have a question, Alexis, from one of the board members with half an answer from Brenda, and maybe you can answer the rest about our contracts for our printers. So the
Sure, I can
question
try.
was, yeah, so the question was, do we have a cancellation clause? Brenda said that we have a non-appropriation clause, so that's for sort of funding, lack of funding. And she said that we have a third-party agent for performance, and we've purchased copiers and printers in this manner for 20 years now. Is there anything else to add to that? And then we'll ask Greg if he's
Yeah.
got a follow-on.
Sure, so it's interesting, the structure is pretty good. We have one company which essentially goes out and bundles up lots and lots and lots of schools and school districts together, and then goes out to all of the vendors, puts the bid out, and then they kind of pre-clear the bids. They put all the bids that they get out for us to review. So that's completely transparent. But they crunch the numbers too. So we can get a pretty good idea of the vendors at play and who's going to work. And then we internally kind of say, yep, here are the bids, these are the vendors that make sense. Let's make a decision, here are the reasons why. And then the vendor themselves is separate from basically the bidding company. And so our relationship on a day-to-day basis on the type of units, on the service for those units, on the supplies for them, is with that vendor specifically. But SPC in this case, the person who gathers the bids, also functions as a third party in our side of the court if we run into any sports court, not law court, into any issues with the printing suppliers. So we would usually see that if we were really encountering the unacceptable support for an issue. So they'll jump on there. I think that's only happened one time since I've been here. And generally speaking, we've had excellent results with both the printers and the service we've received. And we did make a change to our current vendor the cycle before last, and that was a very positive change at the time. So to answer your question about termination clauses, Debbie, I have to look at the specific contract on that. I think Brenda typically reviews the contract itself as essentially a financial one, but I am also happy to take a peek at that if I have a copy of it.
Right. Thanks, Alexis. So Greg, one more thing that she mentioned is that our exposure is really limited, and we just have, like Alexis said, have had really good luck with this system for 20 years. Is that helpful, Greg? I think that was Greg that asked.
It was Greg who asked.
Yes.
There you go.
Let me say back what I think I heard you say in the earlier part is there's a non-appropriations clause,
That's correct.
right? And so my takeaway on that sounds like if there was no budget approved for the supervisory union, then that would be the non-appropriations clause, which means the lease would terminate because funds weren't approved to pay for it. Does that sound right?
That's right. And then the performance piece is the third party that supports us in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, you have it correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Alexis?
Good presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, you must have answered everybody's questions because you've done a great job. So thank you very much for being here tonight and
It's
going
my
through all
pleasure.
that. So we really appreciate it.
Thanks, Alexis.
Yes.
Thank you, Alexis.
Thank
All
you.
right. Have a good night. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the copier and printer contract bid and ask if there's any other questions regarding that before we vote. Hearing none, all those in favor of the copier and printer contract bid signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, contract bid goes. Thank you. All right, next up on our agenda is the monitoring report 2.10 for safety. That should be in your packet. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept that monitoring report, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Leo. Is there a second?
Greg seconds.
Thank you. All right, discussion. Questions? I think we've already both seen it through OVUU and BUU,
Right.
probably.
That's what Melinda and I said today.
Okay, so, I'll give you another minute if you want, if anybody's looking through it. I don't want to rush anybody. Any questions? Okay. All those in favor of accepting monitoring report 2.10 on safety, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, monitoring report 2.10 on safety is accepted. Moving on, we are at governance process, and we have 3 board monitoring reports to look at. One of them we tabled from April, which is the agenda planning. Those are also all in, we'll do them one by one. We'll start with 4.3 agenda planning. I don't have them in front of me, but I'm going to take your guys' word on it. Is there anything that we need to discuss, talk about, change on that monitoring report since last year?
Other than the dates, I don't see anything glaring that, or even not glaring. It's pretty generic, but.
Pretty generic and dry, because that's what agenda planning is. Sorry, just gonna put it out there for y'all.
Yeah,
All right,
looks like it can be rolled over.
rolled over. We'll just change the dates. Everybody in agreement with that? Yes? Okay. All right, let's talk about 4.1 governing style. We will change the dates on all of these as we go through, but if there's anything that needs to be changed, we really haven't changed our governing style, so I'm not really sure that you're still doing policy governance,
It looks
pretty generic.
good.
All right.
I think we still work well together.
Do we? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Says you do.
Yeah, no, we,
Want to make something?
I know, right? We do. Okay.
Seems okay.
All right, so we're moving on to the third one, board job description.
Okay, other than changing pronoun.
Okay.
Of the superintendent from her to him.
Oh,
for
yep.
His regular emails.
Okay.
You know, and
We'll probably
so on.
just make that the superintendent and leave it alone at that, so that we don't have to keep doing that.
Although it does keep us on our toes.
True.
Proving that we are reading this and actually looking for things. Just saying.
Good point. Anything else? No?
Looks good.
Leo says it looks good, so I'm saying all right. Okay. All right. Well, then those are our 3 monitoring reports. Superintendent informational report is in the packet, but Debbie, was there anything that Renee wanted us to know?
There was nothing extra.
Nothing new?
I think
Okay.
that, no, there wasn't anything extra.
Okay. All right. Is there anything that the board wants to see as far as presentations or anything like that? We meet one more time in June, and then we won't meet again until our board retreat in August. So, but I would like you guys thinking about what you would like to see in our board retreat. You know, what's coming down the pike, what we need to be thinking about. I think a lot of us will be thinking about the changes or proposed changes coming from the state. That obviously should be on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably mention I was just going through Renee's report again, that it was announced that the vote for H54, 454, thank you, actually was not occurring so today, so there's,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so there's, okay. Good. Inaction at its best. Okay, sorry. That's government for you. All right. Perfect. All right. Well, anyway, so keep that in mind, because I will be asking that at the next board meeting as to what kind of presentations you're going to want to be looking at, what we really need to be thinking about as an SU moving forward. Okay. Our next meeting, we do have a special board meeting on Tuesday, June 3rd at 5 o'clock here. You will have the virtual option if you want to. But that is an RNESU special meeting to hear a grievance. And then we will have our next RNESU regular board meeting Wednesday, June 18th here at 5:30. Super important that you're here at 5 o'clock for that June 3rd meeting, because we do have an RNE or an OVUU board meeting at 6. So just for those who might need to plan for that. Okay, I don't think we need executive session, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Barbara? There a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, Leo and Ethan seconded, so everyone can say goodbye. Thanks so much for being here tonight.